In the labyrinth of New York City's storied past, a mystery lingers, one that whispers of lost dreams and unexplained disappearances. Joseph Force Crater, a son of Irish heritage, emerged from the simplicity of Easton, Pennsylvania, his eyes set upon a bustling and successful career in the legal field. He was young and brimming with a resolve to etch his name in the chronicles of justice. Joseph Force Crater's story played out on the busy streets of New York City, a place ripe with opportunity, where his intelligence and determination quickly advanced his career in law. He went from studying at Lafayette College to honing his skills at Columbia University's law library, where he became well-versed in his field. At Columbia, Joseph met Stella Mance Wheeler, a woman entangled in the sorrow of a loveless marriage. Joseph's heart led him as much as his legal acumen, offering sanctuary and counsel. It wasn't long before their connection went beyond professional boundaries, and in the spring of 1917, Joseph and Stella married, intertwining their lives in a relationship filled with both affection and challenges. But our story doesn't end here. The tale of Joseph Force Crater is a prologue to a vanishing that would rattle the very foundations of the city's trust in its guardians of law. Where did Joseph Crater go? What secrets vanished with him into the New York night? Join us as we pull back the veil on a bygone era, seeking truths long buried and stories left untold. This is a story that demands to be heard, a call to unravel a mystery that is as much a part of New York as its towering skyline. Crater's professional trajectory led him to establish his law office in the opulent Equitable Building in the heart of Manhattan. This move was a representation of his ambition, his desire to rise through the ranks of the legal world, and his aspirations to make a name for himself in the city that never sleeps. Yet, it was not merely the pursuit of success that defined Crater's story. It was his entry into the convoluted world of Tammany Hall, the epicenter of New York's political machine, that would significantly impact his life. Within this formidable institution, he joined the ranks of Martin J. Healey's Cayuga Democratic Club, where he tirelessly worked to organize election workers and represented the club in election law cases. The connections he made, the alliances he forged, and the intrigue that surrounded Tammany Hall began to cast shadows over his career. As he delved deeper into the political underbelly of the city, the lines between law and politics blurred, setting the stage for a series of events that would culminate in a shocking and mysterious disappearance. His duties within the club included organizing election workers, a task that would prove to be instrumental in the political power play of the era. Representing the Cayuga Democratic Club in election law cases, Crater became increasingly enmeshed in the intricate threads of New York City's political fabric. It was in this environment that Crater's destiny would intersect with a significant moment in New York's history. 4 months before his unexplained disappearance, on April 8, 1930, then-Governor Franklin D. Roosevelt appointed him as a Justice of the New York Supreme Court for New York County. It was a peculiar designation for a trial court, given that New York State's highest court is the Court of Appeals. This appointment would raise eyebrows and suspicions, setting the stage for a series of events that would captivate the city's attention. Crater's role as a Supreme Court justice was not without consequence. He issued 2 published opinions during his short tenure, each carrying its own intrigue. The first, Rotkovitz v. Sohn, decided on July 11, 1930, involved fraudulent conveyances and mortgage foreclosure fraud. It was a case fraught with financial deceptions, a harbinger of the financial intricacies that would soon envelop Crater's life. The second case, Henderson v. Park Central Motor Service, dealt with a garage company's liability for an expensive car stolen and wrecked by an ex-convict. The world of litigation and justice had become a stage for Crater's career, where the lines between right and wrong blurred, and where he would soon find himself embroiled in legal drama of his own. But the real intrigue lay in the shadowy corridors of Tammany Hall. The scent of corruption was in the air, and accusations were rife. It was the legacy of George Ewald's judgeship appointment in 1927, plagued by allegations of corruption, that sowed the seeds of doubt and led to the establishment of what would become the Seabury Commission. The mid-1930s would see this commission unraveling the tangled web of political corruption in the city. As the investigation loomed, Crater's enigmatic journey took a turn toward the unknown. It was a pivot that would propel him into a series of events that would culminate in his eventual disappearance. His appointment as a justice of the New York Supreme Court had sent shockwaves through the city, but it was the financial transactions of spring that cast a shadow over his newfound prominence. In April 1930, the financial affairs of Joseph Crater took an abrupt turn, signaling that the labyrinthine corridors of power and politics were about to reveal their darkest secrets. It was during this time that Crater initiated a series of financial maneuvers that would raise eyebrows and suspicions alike. The first clue to his financial intrigue lay in his liquidation of investments worth a staggering $16,000. This sizable sum, equivalent to approximately $402,912 in the year 2022, represented a significant portion of his wealth. While such transactions were not inherently nefarious, the timing and context ignited a firestorm of speculation. Some posited that this substantial liquidation was, in fact, a possible payoff, in exchange for his newfound judgeship. The smoky whispers of corruption in Tammany Hall grew louder, and the shadows deepened. Yet, this was merely the tip of the iceberg. More would soon come to light. Crater, with a secretive air, proceeded to withdraw $7,000 from his bank account, a considerable sum even by today's standards, equivalent to about $90,217 in 2022. It was this financial transaction that intensified the suspicions surrounding his rise to prominence. The whispers in the alleys of New York City suggested that Crater's actions were more than just financial planning. They were a nefarious exchange for his judgeship. The accusations of corruption within Tammany Hall, like a storm gathering on the horizon, had prompted the Seabury Commission's investigation, which now threatened to engulf Crater in its tempestuous wake. But the intrigues of that spring did not end with financial transactions alone. Joseph Crater had played a key role in the congratulatory speech delivered at the dinner celebrating George Ewald's judgeship in 1927. It was Ewald's own appointment, laden with allegations of corruption in Tammany Hall, that had set in motion the investigation that would later focus its probing eye on Crater. The mid-1930s were a time of reckoning for New York's political machine, and Crater was now ensnared in its tendrils. The allegations and suspicions weighed heavily on his shoulders as he navigated the intricate dance of power, politics, and justice. In the summer of 1930, just as the anti-corruption inquiry gained momentum and the city simmered with speculation, Crater and his wife, Stella Mance Wheeler, escaped the sweltering streets of Manhattan for the serenity of their summer cabin in Belgrade, Maine. Little did they know that this retreat would set the stage for the mysteries that would follow. Amid the tranquil lakes and forests of Maine, Crater received a phone call that would prove to be a foreshadowing of things to come. The call was shrouded in secrecy, and he offered his wife nothing more than a cryptic message. He had to return to New York City, he said, to straighten those fellows out. The nature of the call, the identity of the caller, and the reasons for his return remained veiled in obscurity. Crater's promise to Stella was that he would be back in time for her birthday on August 9th. As he left, she saw no signs of distress or unusual behavior. He appeared to be in good spirits, and his departure seemed unremarkable at the time. On the morning of August 6, 1930, Crater's actions took a mysterious turn. He spent 2 hours in his chambers, meticulously sifting through files and reportedly destroying several documents. The contents of these documents, their significance, and the motivations behind their destruction would forever remain a mystery. Intriguingly, Crater then summoned his law clerk, Joseph Mara, and asked him to cash 2 checks, amounting to a substantial sum, $5,150. This unexpected request, coupled with the earlier financial transactions of that spring, raised questions about the origins and destination of these funds. At noon, Crater and Mara carried 2 locked briefcases from the law offices to Crater's apartment at 45th Avenue. Crater then dismissed Mara for the day. It was a peculiar set of events, the significance of which remained hidden in the labyrinth of secrets that enshrouded the soon-to-be-missing judge. That evening, Crater's journey took yet another perplexing twist. He visited a Broadway ticket agency, where he reserved a seat for a comedy titled Dancing Partner at the Belasco Theater. What baffled those who knew him was that he and a friend had already attended a preview of the show. This inexplicable act hinted at a deliberate subterfuge, and it added another layer to the mystery of his final moments in New York City. Crater then dined at Billy Haas's Chop House on West 45th Street, accompanied by showgirl Sally Lou Ritz and lawyer friend William Klein. These dinner companions would later give differing accounts of his departure from the restaurant, adding further obscurity to the final hours before his vanishing. Klein initially testified that the judge got into a taxicab outside the restaurant about 9:30 p.m. and drove west on 45th Street. This account was seemingly confirmed by Ritz, who stated that, at the sidewalk, Judge Crater took a taxicab. However, both Klein and Ritz would later change their stories, claiming that they had entered a taxi outside the restaurant, while Crater had chosen to walk down the street. The mystery deepened as the judge's last known footsteps became unclear. His disappearance was initially met with indifference, but as the days turned into weeks, alarm bells began to ring. Stella Crater, left waiting for her husband to return, began to reach out to friends and acquaintances, asking if anyone had seen him. In the corridors of justice, his fellow judges became concerned when he failed to appear for the opening of the courts on August 25th, and they initiated a private investigation. Yet, despite their efforts, no trace of Crater could be found. The turning point came when the police were officially notified of his disappearance on September 3, 1930. It was at this moment that the missing judge became front-page news, and the search for his whereabouts gripped the city and the nation. Detectives discovered that Crater's safe deposit box had been emptied, and the 2 locked briefcases that he and Mara had transported to his apartment were missing. These promising leads, however, would quickly fade into obscurity amidst a deluge of false reports from individuals claiming to have seen the vanished judge. A grand jury convened in October 1930, calling 95 witnesses and amassing 975 pages of testimony. Yet, Stella Crater, the wife of the missing judge, refused to appear before the jury. Their conclusion was as puzzled as the disappearance itself. The evidence is insufficient to warrant any expression of opinion as to whether Crater is alive or dead, or as to whether he has absented himself voluntarily, or is the sufferer from disease in the nature of amnesia, or is the victim of crime. The vanishing of Joseph Force Crater had taken the city by storm, and his last known moments remained shrouded in uncertainty. His footsteps had left a trail of mysteries and questions, and as the investigation unfolded, the city was left with a puzzle that would linger for generations to come. The intrigue surrounding his vanishing wasn't confined to the missing judge alone. As the investigation unfolded, the spotlight turned to 3 women who played significant roles in his life, each shrouded in their own riddled stories. First among these women was showgirl Sally Lou Ritz. A woman of allure and mystery, she had dined with Crater on the fateful evening of his disappearance. Ritz, whose real name was Sarah Ritzy, was rumored to be more than just a companion to the judge. Some speculated that she was his mistress, and her swift exit from the city following Crater's vanishing only added to the intrigue. In August or September 1930, she left New York and was discovered living in Youngstown, Ohio. Her reasons for departing the city remained cryptic, but she claimed it was due to news of her father's illness. Over the years, not much was known about her life beyond this point, until a revelation in 2014. The publication of The Wife, the Maid, and the Mistress by author Ariel Lawhorn brought an unexpected twist. Bert Weist, identifying herself as Sally Lou Ritzy's granddaughter, reached out to the author. Weist painted a picture of a life that had remained hidden for decades. Ritzy had married, changed her name, and had a child. Far from the tragic fate that befell her lovers, Ritzy had gone on to live a relatively healthy and successful life before passing away peacefully in 2000. June Bryce, another showgirl associated with Crater, found herself at the center of an entirely different mystery. She had been seen talking to Crater the day before he disappeared, and her involvement in the judge's life extended beyond the superficial. It was speculated that Bryce was at the heart of a scheme to blackmail Crater, a theory that aimed to explain the significant bank withdrawals he made on the day of his vanishing. More intriguingly, it was postulated that a gangster boyfriend of Bryce's might have played a role in Crater's fate. As the grand jury trial loomed, Bryce's actions took a sudden turn. On the day the grand jury was set to convene, she disappeared. Years later, in 1948, she was discovered in a mental hospital. The strange circumstances surrounding her life, her connection to Crater, and her sudden disappearance deepened the mystery of the missing judge. Vivian Gordon, the third woman in this riddled trio, was no less mysterious. A high-end prostitute with connections that spanned the city's influential elite, she was associated with gangster Jack Legs Diamond, organized crime figure Arnold Rothstein, and American Madam Polly Adler. Gordon's life was a tapestry of intrigue, and her connections would soon lead to a turmoil that shook the foundations of the city. In February 1931, Gordon lost custody of her 16-year-old daughter due to a conviction related to her numerous property holdings, suspected to be fronts for illegal activities. In a move that would have dire consequences, she offered to testify about police graft, exposing corruption at its core. 5 days later, Vivian Gordon was murdered, sparking a wave of publicity and chaos. The aftershocks reverberated through the city's political landscape, eventually leading to the resignation of Mayor Jimmy Walker and dealing a significant blow to Tammany Hall's grip on power. As the investigation into Crater's disappearance unraveled, the lives of these three women took unexpected and often tragic turns. Their connections to the missing judge, their disappearances, and their mysterious tales added layers of intrigue to an already complex mystery. The city of New York was left to ponder the role these women might have played in the vanishing of Joseph Force Crater and the seismic changes that had rocked the city in its wake. As the investigation into the disappearance of Joseph Force Crater delved deeper into the labyrinth of secrets, the quest for answers became a haze of uncertainties. Despite the grand jury's efforts and the investigative zeal of the city's finest, Crater's story remained a riddle with no immediate solution. The city was held captive by the tantalizing mysteries that had unfolded, and as the days turned into weeks, hope for answers waned. Though the investigation had officially closed in 1979, the intrigue surrounding Crater's fate refused to fade into obscurity. His name became synonymous with vanishing. To pull a crater meant to vanish without a trace. It was a phrase that endured despite the passage of time. Crater's story wasn't confined to the city's historical annals alone. It seeped into popular culture and found its way into the lexicon of everyday life. In comedy clubs, comedians would call out, "Judge Crater, call your office," as part of a standard gag. The mysterious disappearance of a high-ranking judge had become fodder for humor, a testament to the enduring allure of unsolved mysteries. Television shows like MASH, Golden Girls, and Archer also paid homage to Crater, keeping the legend alive in the public consciousness. It was as though the missing judge had transcended his own era and become a symbol of the city's enduring fascination with the unknown. Yet, the mysteries surrounding Crater's disappearance did not stop with the vanishing act itself. Over the years, a multitude of theories and speculations have emerged. Some believe he was the victim of foul play, while others suggest he had orchestrated his own disappearance, possibly due to the web of corruption he was embroiled in. One shocking revelation came to light after the death of Stella Ferrucci Good in 2005. Authorities disclosed that they had received notes written by Stella in which she claimed that her husband, NYPD detective Robert Good, had learned that Crater was killed by Charles Burns, an NYPD officer who worked as a bodyguard for Murder Inc. enforcer Abe Reely's, along with Burns's brother. The note further claimed that Crater's body had been buried near West 8th Street in Coney Island. However, attempts to excavate the site and locate Crater's remains were thwarted. The area had been razed during the 1950s to build the New York Aquarium, erasing any physical evidence that may have once existed. With no police records indicating the discovery of skeletal remains, the last vestiges of the case's evidence ran dry. As the years turned into decades, Crater's riddled journey through the maze of New York's history continues to captivate the imaginations of those who hear his name. In a city known for its towering skyscrapers and bustling streets, one man's vanishing act would become a timeless mystery, an echo of a bygone era that would linger, casting long shadows over the city that never forgets. Do you have any thoughts about what may have happened to Judge Crater? Let us know in the comments. Please also like and subscribe for similarly fascinating stories from Really Unreal. Join the conversation. Drop a comment to share your thoughts and insights. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more captivating content. Thanks for tuning in to Really Unreal. Join us next time for a deep dive into another fascinating case. Stay curious, stay connected, stay with Really Unreal.